And now it's my pleasure to introduce our featured author, Lynn Kaylor. She wrote her first romance novella in middle school. I guess she was quite precocious. Then real life took over, and she had a long career in software development where she got to travel the world helping companies implement her company's software systems. Now she's retired and she's gone back to her first love, which is writing romance. So with that, let's give her a warm welcome. Yours is 15.
Okay, I've been practicing, trying to get it 15, and I think I will go a few seconds over, not a full minute, but I think I got it. Yeah, I'll do that. Well, I'm sorry for you guys having to listen to romance, but...
No, you're not allowed to do that.
Oh, that's right, you're not allowed to. I'm writing for seniors with their couples in their 50s, 60s, and up, because I think that I still like to read romance, but I don't want to read about silly 21-year-olds anymore. So I wanted something more for me. All right, this is a series, not a series because there's no carryover characters, but a collection, I call it. One fine day you're gonna need me, and I've got one fine day you're gonna love me, and oh, right, you're gonna want me, and you're gonna find me, and some others as time goes on. The consistency is that they're all set in contemporary Prescott. Yay, Prescott. Okay, here we go. Prescott Chief of Police Matt Walker set the air conditioner on high without taking his eyes off the road. Highway 89A over Mingus Mountain between Jerome and Prescott was demanding at best and could be fatal with the right mix of stupidity, lack of attention, or simple bad luck. Traffic was light on the winding forest route this hot day in the first week of July. The drive was notorious for speeders testing their skills, racing the distance, loving the adrenaline high and exuberant rush it offered. Matt tugged at his collar, glad to be done with an early Monday morning meeting of law enforcement and Forest Service personnel, planning for the looming monsoon season that would bring dangerous lightning activity. He had a bad feeling the next couple of months would be tense due to record-setting temperatures the region was suffering. The forests and grassland ranges were dry as tinder. Today's 105-degree heat in this northern Arizona region raised a huge fire risk to the Quad City areas of Prescott. Sometimes he wished he could turn back the clock and be a carefree teenager again with little more to worry about than swimming pools, movies, and girls. Matt drove in radio silence, mulling over the human resources he had in his department and how he might have to shift assignments to enforce fire-related road closures, not to mention covering scheduled summer vacations. He just turned his head to the left to glance out the window when a brilliant light reflecting off his side mirror momentarily blinded him. That's odd. What could have possibly created that brief flash? He checked his rear view constantly for cars coming up behind him. For a minute, Matt considered shaking it off, but he slowed his vehicle to a crawl and came to a full stop as he found enough shoulder to pull almost entirely off the pavement. He got out and walked back the way he'd come, looking down into the ravine on the south side of the road. A slight breeze through the pinyon and ponderosas carried the faint, fresh scent of pine, and quiet reigned except for a bird song he couldn't identify. The sight of a wrecked Cadillac sedan at the bottom of the draw interrupted the tranquil and serene scene. His breath caught, sun reflected off a broken side mirror lying nearby. At his feet, fresh fire tracks in the dirt and torn tufts of prairie grass along the sliver of shoulder showed where the car had gone off the pavement and begun its roll down the steep embankment, coming to a rest right side up in the narrow valley below. Oh God, no, a 1996 Caddy. The last year General Motors produced cars without airbags. Matt raced back to his patrol car, grabbed his first aid kit and a few specialized tools for cutting glass and seat belts. then plunged down the side of the dry gulch, half sliding, half leaping from foothold to foothold. God, please don't let it be too late. As he reached the vehicle, he could tell the car had been going at a slow speed because the caddy's body wasn't squashed. The tempered glass in the front windshield and driver's window had shattered, but hadn't broken open. The embankment slope was sharp, but not straight up and down, and the car had rolled just once, he figured. He could see one occupant, the driver, not moving. The Cadillac's doors were locked, so he smashed open the rear window on the driver's side, spraying glass across the back seat. A blast of blistering air hit him in the face, forcing him to turn away for a moment before he unlocked the driver's door and with adrenaline-fueled strength wrenched it open. A woman slumped over to her right, her back to him. The pale gray interior of the car was scorching hot. In this weather, it would reach lethal temperatures in as little as 30 minutes, even with all the windows cracked, and none of these windows were open. He wondered how long she had been there and how something like this could happen on a bright sunny day with almost no traffic. The woman moaned softly and moved her head, trying to look back toward the open door behind her, but unable to turn that far. She's alive. No blood could be seen around her head or shoulders, and a glance at the rest of her body revealed no visible wounds. Thank goodness, she said, her voice faint. Can't reach phone. Her voice slurred, a sign of delirium induced by heat stroke, which could be deadly, or a concussion, he couldn't tell. A quick glance told him the empty front passenger seat had broken off its track in the roll, rotating and coming to rest wedged between the right door and the driver's seat. It covered the seatbelt release and tightened the belt, pinning the driver. Resisting the impulse to pull her from the heat, Matt tried the other doors, managing to force open the back door on the passenger side. Then he hammered out the rear window. Thirsty. He returned to her instantly and cut her seatbelt away, then stretched across her to retrieve an insulated bottle that had landed on the passenger seat, gasping as his bare arm brushed the searing hot steering wheel. There was water in her thermos, warm but wet, and with the warning, "Don't move," he held it to her lips. "Just wet your lips and mouth. We don't know what your general injuries are." She took the sip. As he crouched beside her, he looked over the car. He knew the Brougham had been Cadillac's top of the line. Only in a heavy old boat like this could a passenger in a rollover hope for protection from serious or fatal injury. Many newer cars would have crumpled like a squeezed soda can. "Thanks," she whispered and closed her eyes. Whoa, stay with me. What can you feel? What hurts? No, don't try to move. Just tell me what you feel." She shifted her body, straightened some, and lifted her head slightly. Can't follow instructions. "Don't think any broken. Don't move. Does your head hurt?" He knew internal bleeding in the brain could be fatal and a real possibility in accidents like this. "No, doesn't, but it's cold and no hot and." She leaned back against the headrest and her eyelids fluttered closed. Matt rose and made quick work of hammering out the rest of the side windows to give access to any breeze that might drift by. He couldn't smash out the front window without showering her with glass. Gotta keep her talking. "How long have you been here?" "Forever," she murmured, "and ever." "Forever? Wait, don't do that. Ah!" She opened the water bottle and turned it over her head, soaking her hair, shoulders, and chest, just as he returned to her side. "Don't move. You've got to stay still till the ambulance gets here. You could be hurting yourself if you don't wait for the medics to stabilize you and move you safely." Squatting down beside her again, he said, "Look at me. Open your eyes." She glanced at him for a second before turning, leaving him with a first impression of an attractive woman. "And stay still." He tried not to stare at her breasts and thin, wet, clinging t-shirt. Matt reached for his radio and came up with air. Damn it. Because of his meeting that morning, he hadn't been wearing it. Then when he tried, his cell phone couldn't find service. He would have to go back to his car. I've got to call for an ambulance. I'll be right back in just a couple of minutes. Keep still. He clawed and crawled up the incline and glanced at the wreck when he reached the road. What the shit? She stood next to the battered caddy, leaning back against the rear door, unsteady on her feet. He watched her sink into a heap beside the vehicle, landing on her butt with her knees up in front. Matt sprinted to his patrol car, grabbed his radio, a blanket, and some water from his emergency supply, then ran back to where her car had plunged into the ravine. He couldn't take time now to call dispatch. He had to stop her from moving more, potentially injuring herself further. He noted a mile marker nearby before sliding down the embankment for the second time, managing to dodge sprinklings of prickly pear cactus, but shredding a patch on his trousers from a swath of granite shards. At the bottom of the arroyo, not far from the wreck, an evergreen tree cast a sliver of shade. After kicking it a few rocks out of the way, Matt snapped the blanket open and spread it out. He turned back. Oh my God, the woman was determined and attempting to stand. She had rolled onto her hands and knees, braced herself against the car with one hand, and was off of one knee and stalled halfway up. He reached her just in time to catch her as she collapsed. Hoping he didn't cause any further damage, he scooped her up in his arms, carried her over to the blanket, laid her down, and said sternly, "Stay put." She breathed deeply, a contented look on her face, and closed her eyes. Well, so much for waiting for the medics, he fumed. He blew out a puff of air and frowned. Her weakness concerned him now. It indicated shock on top of the symptoms of heat stroke she had already exhibited, and either could be fatal. For a moment, he considered carrying her to his vehicle to get her to a hospital sooner, but unless he found an easier way up to the highway than the steep incline, he'd have to carry her over his shoulder. If she had internal injuries, that might hurt her. Waiting would be best, he reluctantly decided. Matt called dispatch for paramedics and patrol cars, giving them his milepost position in the wreck's location. There should be a fire engine first, with first responders and a squad car or two before long to set up flares and control traffic. He hoped the ambulance would make it in a half hour. Their response time record wasn't what he thought it should be, and this spot wasn't conducive to a helicopter extraction either. Crouched beside her, he asked, "How did you happen to leave the road? I didn't see any skid marks where you attempted to put on the brakes. What happened?" "I came around the corner. Two cars were drag racing. One sideswiped me." She waved one hand, her voice slurring even more. Sons of bitches. It was a miracle he'd seen that tiny flash of reflected light. Whoever put her in that place without stopping to help, or at least notify authorities, was a worthless piece of shit. Matt took stock of the petite woman lying on the blanket before him. She was a foot shorter than his 6 feet 2 inches, he guessed. Her hair was light brown with strands of gold and auburn, cut short and wispy. Her eyes were green or hazel. They were so dilated he couldn't tell for sure. "You saved me," she said, smiling at him as he knelt beside her. You're strong and so handsome." She rolled to her side and ran her hand up his arm, bared by his short-sleeved summer uniform. "You saved me, and I love you." And here we are in La La Land, he swallowed a chuckle. She lay flat on her back again and folded an arm behind her head, her smile quirky and a bit lopsided. Then she began to sing the old Eric Clapton hit, "I Shot the Sheriff," but she changed the words. "I love the sheriff, but I do not love the deputy." She could carry a tune and her voice was sweet. Matt pinched his lips, fighting an urge to laugh that morphed into a brief coughing fit before he could say, "I'm not the sheriff, I'm the chief of police." "Oh, you're the chief. What's your name, chief?" Matt Walker. "What's your name?" "Zena," she said, Zeena. That made him smile. She must have had to spell out her name a few thousand times. He paused, taking in more of her. She wore a diamond and ruby ring on her left hand, but no wedding band. It could still be a wedding ring, or maybe an engagement ring. Do you have a husband I should call and notify to come be with you? Or a fiance? Nope. My husband went to heaven 4 years ago, and I don't have a fiance. It surprised Matt to realize he was glad to hear she was single, since he'd scarcely dated at all after his divorce 10 years earlier. For his entire adult life, the military or the police had come first. A personal life wasn't something he needed, wished for, or wanted. She squinted, giving him a critical look. Aren't you kind of old to be a cop? That wiped the smile off his face. I'm not a patrolman, ma'am. I'm the chief of police, he reminded her. He would be 60 in a few months, but he took pride in working out with each group going through the police academy, joining them in the grueling exercises and physical challenges they were given. Between sessions, when there were no recruits training, he worked out with some of his ex-military buddies, committed to maintaining the top shape they'd been in since their Army Special Forces years. Her eyes filled with tears. What's wrong? He leaned forward, his gaze sweeping over her. Are you hurt somewhere? You called me ma'am. She pressed her hands to her temples, eyes pinched closed. I'm sorry, I meant to say miss. He sat back on his heels and tried to guess her age. Her shaggy haircut was youthful and her complexion was smooth. She looked younger than him, 50 he guessed. It was hard to tell. She dressed young, a white t-shirt and faded denim jeans cuffed at mid-calf. Her legs were shapely, her figure curved in all the right places, not too big and not too thin either. She wasn't pretty, he decided, more like beautiful. Zena rubbed her eyes with the heel of her palms and sniffed. You're forgiven, she said, reaching to pat his hand, because I love you. Her eyes glided shut. No, don't go to sleep, Zena. Open your eyes, stay with me. He knew it would be safer to keep her awake until the medics arrived. What about kids or relatives nearby? Is there someone I could call? No, too far away. Friends? She peered up at him. Maybe you should be my friend. I don't have many. Rolling close to him, she whispered confidentially, because I'm an introvert. He lost it completely then and laughed out loud.
You can mention your books.
Oh, yes, my books are back here. One Fine Day You're Gonna Need Me, and there's another one in the collection, You're Going to Love Me. Also a senior couple. I won't say more. But